What I saw was a white, completely smooth vehicle that appeared to be a flying saucer. It was constructed in the shape of a modified circular egg, being equal in length and shape from all sides, as I would learn as I watched the video. Its contour was totally smooth, with no light, flight control surface, pitot tubes, propulsion systems, antennae, or other projections that might be seen on any typical aircraft or spacecraft. While it was generally spherical, it was about 20 feet in length, I would guess. It had a type of beam or equatorial region, with about 60% of the craft being above this region and 40% of the craft being below this region. A shallow dome could be seen at its apex. It was completely white with no seams, rivets, or other clues to its construction. The only exceptions were a pair of vertical and horizontal black rectangles that had been painted, and I assumed these markings were to be used when evaluating a test vehicle because I had seen them on some of the test aircraft. The three vertical rectangles were only on the upper section of the vehicle, located at what I would call the 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions. The four horizontal rectangles were along the beam or equatorial region, located at 12:30 to 2:30 position, 3:30 to 5:30 position, then from 6:30 to 8:30 position, then from 9:30 to 11:30 positions. Now, when I initially saw the vehicle, the camera angle was from somewhat above the vehicle, looking down on it from the 3 o'clock position. I only gained the rest of the information I just provided about the full range of rectangles only at the time that I witnessed it moving later on. I could partially make out information at the 12 o'clock position, but did not get a full view of it until it initially rotated in the clockwise direction. I am calling this the 12 o'clock position because that was the only section that had any sort of actual writing on it. As I saw it move, I was extremely surprised to see that just above the beam it said U.S. Air Force, and just above that was the flight insignia for U.S. aircraft, which is a blue circle with a white star on it, with red and white bars extending to the left and right of the blue margins. As I mentioned, there was a shallow blended dome to the apex of the vehicle, and here a pole extended straight up from the vertex of this dome. The pole was then attached to what appeared to be umbilical hoses that were twirled around each other, and these extended from above the vehicle and upward out of my sight. Alongside the vehicle, to the lower left of the screen, I initially saw two men who were in white lab coats. I presume these were engineers. To the right side, there were three technician-type people walking around in full-body suits similar to what I would refer to today as Tyvek suits. It was the comparison of the people to the craft that caused me to estimate that it was 20 feet in length. There was a warning sound that went off, and all of the people moved out of the way. While this was happening, I turned to the major to my left and asked, who would build a vehicle like that? He said he could not tell me. I then asked, why would we design a craft configured like that? His response was exactly what I'm going to show you right now. He went, we got it from them, pointing directly up, signaling in my interpretation that he was referring to space. All of a sudden, there were what appeared to be visual and auditory signs of electromagnetic discharges occurring around the vehicle. I will not describe this otherwise because even though there were no indications of the craft being classified, the fact that it was a flying saucer made me immediately expect that this surely had to be a classified craft. As such, I do not wish to disclose any information that might indicate its method of operations, propulsion, or other characteristics that might still be used by it or by even more advanced craft within the current inventory of the United States. The craft rose from the concrete so smoothly that had I not been watching closely, I would not have recognized the motion. The picture you see is my poor attempt to show what it looked like. It then smoothly rotated one complete cycle going clockwise, then did the same rotation in the counterclockwise position. At the end of this, it was once more in the same position it had been in when it initially rose from the floor. It then moved to the right and left, then forward and backward, which I assumed was simply testing the controls for its motion. All of these actions seemed routine, noting that it was a flying saucer. However, what it did next surprised me greatly. The vehicle rose from the front of the craft, tilting to a 45-degree forward angle of attack, but absolutely maintained its stationary position over the floor from where it had risen. I gave an exclamation about this, and the major commented that he thought this would blow me away. Just then there were knocks on the door and voices asking why the door was locked. The major immediately turned off the computer console and screen, then looked at me very seriously. He whispered, "Don't tell anyone I showed this to you." He then unlocked the door and 3 officers came in. One was a lieutenant colonel who again asked why the door had been shut and locked. The major stated that he had wanted to show me a skin lesion, so he had locked the door for the sake of his privacy.